It's the 8th of April, and I'm here today with Larry Bailey. Larry is the president and CEO of LDB Consulting. He's also a proud MBA alum of the Wharton School, and he's a member of our Board of Overseers. Larry, great to see you today.
Thanks, Geoff. It's great to see you.
And for everybody who's watching, Larry advises lots of very prominent professional athletes, certainly not limited to, but an outstanding example is the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus. So, Larry, I'd just like to talk to you a little bit about your vantage point on professional sports. Obviously, we live in a world where live sports has become, along with news, basically the only thing that anyone wants to watch on TV live, and then obviously attendance in stadiums and arenas is really big business. But now there's none of that. First question for you, how are the athletes that you know thinking about this kind of interregnum period? And as they contemplate coming back, how do they feel about a world in which they might be performing with literally no one in the arena?
Well, I think some of the athletes I've talked to, particularly, and I haven't talked to the two you mentioned specifically, but I talked to some of the other people that I've been working with over the years. In my role was while I have my own little consulting firm now, I'm a retired tax partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and by introduction into the sports arena came through that area. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say while they would love to be able to play in front of their fans, the competitive nature of them, they just want to play. A couple of them said that when they're out there, and whether it's football or basketball or whatever, they are basically looking at the people on the other side of the line in another uniform, and that's who they're playing against right now. And that brings out the competitive drive in each and every one of them. And so, therefore, they would love to play. And then there's also a financial side of that. I mean, a lot of the sports leagues right now are looking at what happens if they don't go back, if they have fewer games, and whether or not any parts of the force majeure part of the contracts are going to be invoked so that they will get fewer salary amounts if, in fact, some games are canceled.
Yeah, so let's talk in a second about salaries and then sponsorships. But back to the experience for athletes, or at least for those of us watching, you know, I love the idea actually of hearing more of what's happening on the court or in the stadium because there are no fans screaming. But I think I heard LeBron James say that he didn't want to play without fans. Do you think, I don't know whether you heard LeBron say that. I wonder if he was thinking beyond his own personal experience and trying to empathize with fans. Do you have a take on that?
Well, not really. I don't really know LeBron, so I don't know what particularly he was looking at. But I think as the players get more and more down the round, they want to play. They're athletes. They're highly trained, highly tuned professionals. The reason that these individuals make the kind of money they make is because they're the best in their business. And so they want to play. And I think that the fact that they can't have the fans there at the end of the day, it bothers them. They love to be driven by that. But at the end of the day, they want to play. They want to compete against the people on the other side of the court.
Okay, and we have all these contracts, right? And the contracts are implicit, in essence, not only on box office face-to-face, but also these enormous television contracts. So you mentioned force majeure. What do you think is going to happen with either in a league context or individual athletes to contracts?
Well, I mean, I think that the longer they stay out, I think the more inclined the leagues and the ownership will be more inclined to actually invoke some of those clauses where that if the number of games is cut back, the players' salaries will be cut back. It only makes sense. I think you talk about the TV contracts. I haven't seen one in years, but I think that there are a certain number of games that have to be provided to these networks for these large amounts that they have given to the respective leagues. So I think that you could see a situation that if the games get cut back more and more, you may see a reduction in the actual TV revenues that the players get, which leads into another area in that basketball and football in particular have salary caps. And one of the major parts of the revenue stream that's divided up are the TV contracts. And so as those numbers start to decline, the salary caps will start to decline in future years.
Yeah, and I'm a big NBA fan, as I think you know, and I know that the last time they did the salary cap in the NBA, it was the salary cap spike. So there are a lot of big contracts out there in the NBA, and now they're talking about the cap. There was a collective bargaining agreement, I guess, and now the salary cap looks like it's going to go down. Do you think players will have the appetite to renegotiate contracts in this environment?
Well, I think that'll be a decision that is made by their respective players' associations, because these things are collectively bargained with the various leagues. So I don't think one individual player or individual players will have an impact on that. I think it'll be whatever the leagues and the players' associations decide that they're going to do in terms of whether these contracts are going to be renegotiated.
What are you seeing in the world of sponsorships right now, and how do you think that's going to play out for the athletes?
Well, I think it's all too new right now, Geoff. We really don't know what's going to happen. Again, I think you're going to be looking at the same types of situations you're looking at in all the other sports. To the extent that certain numbers of events are not met as a minimum, you may or may not see some of the sponsorships decline. But right now, I don't think anybody knows exactly what's going to happen. These relationships have been built up over the years, and I'm sure the respective sponsors are going to want to make sure that they maintain those relationships, because brands have been built up around that. So, but right now, I think it's all too new. So much is going on. You just think back 60 days ago, we weren't looking at the situation. Now, all of a sudden, you have all these things happening. We don't know when the seasons are going to start. We're seeing events being canceled all around. So right now, I just don't think we know. I think it's going to be all too new. This is going to be ever evolving.
But personal brands really matter for the athletes, obviously. And you know, I haven't been surprised, both because they're wonderful people, but also because they have such stature in communities, that a lot of athletes have been making high publicity philanthropic donations, either to support people who are adversely affected by the crisis or to support medical research. Have you got a take on that? Do you expect to see more?
Yeah, I do. I think the athletes, they all have a vested interest in the communities in which they serve. And I think that's not something new. The athletes are always been inclined to give back to the respective communities. A lot of them have their own charitable foundations in which they try to do good things. A lot of those foundations are tied into their sponsorships, where the particular sponsor will give so much to their foundation, because they try to come to some agreement as to where they have common interests in. And so it's not just on the athletes, but the teams and the sponsors all try to get on the same page as to how they go back and help the communities. This is something that's totally new. And I think that what I've seen with some of the owners and what they're doing, I think everybody's trying to get involved.
Larry, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thanks for your time, and thanks for all you do for Wharton.